Thanks for that fat break from our director, Alex. We are back now, ready to start breaking down all of the matchups that are NFL Week 15. And of course, as usual, we welcome our round friend, Yeastie. Round friend, Yeastie, to the Covenant. What's up,
round,
Yeastie?
mound to brown.
Round and limp wrist in the same segment. That's very nice of you.
What's up with the
You're on the injury report, dude.
Well,
Tell us what happened.
I have to go on IR. I've got a fractured wrist.
You're so unhappy about your tough team taking a dive that you stuck your fist through a wall.
That's what I thought.
That's what we'll go with. It wouldn't be that like I was so lame that I fell in my driveway or anything.
Yeah,
so,
that other one's a much better story.
So we'll go with me. I punched a group of people. I took on like 5 guys, Chuck Norris style. So that's what we'll go with.
Well, we know that you endured the pain and you endured the Percocet and the Vicodin to join us. And the Fat Pack is on the attack.
That's right.
Here we are, the 3 of us again in the saddle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an important week out there for fantasy football owners. And that's what this show is built on. Of course, we love the purple, but it's a fantasy football show. We like to tell you out there in fantasy land who you need to start on a weekly basis to help you dominate in your fantasy football league. And right now, let's be honest, all of the chips are down in fantasy land. This is the fantasy playoffs. So turn up your dial on your TV, get in tune with what we're telling you, shuffle across the room, and put your hand on the screen because we're about to send out the vibes you need to help you win in the playoffs. Guys, let's jump right into the matchups here. There's a Saturday game. I always love more NFL in my life. This week, the schedule rewards us with a game on Saturday. Cincinnati Bengals really struggling of late. Get to play a team that can kind of cure some of those ills, Jeff. The Bengals traveling to face the 49ers. How do you see this one breaking down?
Well, I think that when the schedule makers first decided to put the Bengals against San Francisco here late in the season on Saturday, they thought these are 2 teams who should be headed to the playoffs. Well, there's a big stink fist going out for all the Bengal fans and the Niner fans because these 2 teams stink badly. I'm telling you, it's not good. I think there's going to be some decent points, but yuck. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to say. On the fantasy field, start the running backs. The Bengals you have to play.
Yeah, well, Carson Palmer, Yeastie, 2 weeks in a row, he has no touchdown passes. This is the first time that has happened to him since his 2nd and 3rd professional starts. What's going wrong with the passing game there in Cincy?
I'm not really sure what's going on. He's not having a whole lot of time to throw the ball to start with. Rudy Johnson emerged last week. They were going to focus on Rudy going against the Rams. And there was some bad weather as well. So, if you had Carson Palmer and you were in your first week of the playoffs, chances are you're probably done. So sorry about that. But if you're going into the playoffs, you're probably limping in with Carson Palmer at this point, and you probably have to go with him. But I think he'll get you some decent points, but I think Rudy Johnson's the best play right now.
What about from the Frisco side of things, Jeff? Can you roll out Frank Gore here because of the matchup? I mean, the Bengals are not prolific on defense.
Well, if you have the ability to bench Frank Gore, then things are great for you. You know what I'm saying? But he's a number 1 type running back, and he was your first-round pick. So play your guy, dance with the one that brung you, and roll with Frank Gore. He's the only offense this team has, and when he wants to, he performs. So it's tough because it seems a lot to be about attitude, in my opinion, for him. And I think that if he's got a good attitude, he'll perform well. If he doesn't feel like it, though, 60 yards.
Let me ask you guys this. Chad Johnson, a big problem there throughout the season. There's been some mention behind the scenes that maybe Marvin Lewis might be ousted at the end of the season. Do you think this Bengals team has been disappointing enough, Yeastie, to really go through a major overhaul here in the offseason, maybe even Chad Johnson leaving?
I think they're going to have to figure out what kind of identity they want to have right now, because if Carson Palmer either needs to step up and become the clear-cut leader on this team like a Tony Romo or Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, or he needs to, or Chad Johnson's going to run his mouth and be the one that everybody goes to for sound bites and things like that. So either Marvin Lewis is going to get him under control, or they're going to get rid of Marvin Lewis and try to get somebody that can get him under control, or they're going to clean house altogether. I would actually like to see him maybe get rid of Chad Johnson while he's still got some good value, roll with T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Chris Henry while he's, not in jail. So
Chris Henry poses for more mugshots than he does for any NFL headshots.
Yeah.
So, they're going to be a little bit leery about putting all their eggs in that basket. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with you a lot about Carson Palmer needing to step up as the leader of this team to be the face of the franchise that they drafted him number 1 overall to be. I also do think that it's time for Marvin Lewis to go. He's a defensive coordinator who got the head coaching job, who's never infected change on the defense.
Right.
Their defense is as bad as it was ever before before he was the coach.
Yeah, exactly. The Bengals have been a chronic disappointment. I know a couple of us here on this panel, myself included, definitely thought bigger things would be coming from this team. Unfortunately, going into the playoffs, you got to roll those guys out, but it has been a pretty disappointing year for the Bengals, and that's to be sure. The next matchup, the Tennessee Titans traveling to face the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs got ganged up on last week by a really hungry Denver team. If you started Colby Smith in one of your leagues, you were really disappointed with his output last week. Now Smith plays a home game against the Titans. Is there really any fantasy plays here? I mean, Gonzo looked good last week, but the Chiefs are kind of headed in the wrong way, in my opinion, Yeastie.
Yeah, they didn't look very good at all against the Broncos. They got housed from the very beginning, so you can't really blame Colby Smith for that. He wasn't really in the game plan. So I think you can still play Colby Smith right now. Albert Haynesworth is somewhat questionable right now, and when he's out, that Tennessee defense is a lot less aggressive and things like that. So I think Dwayne Bowe could actually have a decent game because once Brody Croyle is in the game, he looks towards Dwayne Bowe, but he was blanketed by Champ Bailey all week last week. So I think you can still roll with those guys if you have them.
And Gonzo's a must-play.
Yeah, Gonzo's having a great season. He's a Hall of Fame, one of the best tight ends we've ever seen. So probably if you have him, you have to roll with him. I like him a lot more when Damon Heward is under center rather than Brody Croyle. So I'll be interested to see it. They seem to be wanting to go with the musical chair at quarterback. Although with what you're saying to me, you see, it sounds like they might be back to Croyle again.
Yeah, it's Croyle again.
So I don't know what to think exactly about that. Croyle seems to have a nice connection with Bowe. On the other side of the ball, I guess Lindell White makes a decent play, but he's erratic. So it's tough to say what he's going to do.
And speaking of
no
erratic,
passing game from Tennessee.
Yeah, speaking of erratic, Vince Young has been very erratic so far this season. Yeah, it's just his second season as a starter in the NFL, and that is kind of to be expected. But last week, Jay Cutler, who's also been erratic, really got off and feasted to the tune of 4 touchdowns against this Chiefs D. Jeff, can fantasy owners think about throwing Vince Young in the fray here? Do you see a game from Vince,
I think it's
maybe?
a great idea if you're in a consolation playoffs and you don't care. But if you're in the real playoffs of your league and you start Vince Young, then you need a little more testosterone, man.
Yeah, exactly. 2 other teams you probably want to shy away from here in this next matchup. Baltimore traveling to play the winless Miami Dolphins. Guys, I look at this game and my stomach kind of turns, Jeff. It's just, it's nasty.
Oh, I got a little bit of it. My lunch just crept back up on me.
Oh.
I won't be playing anybody from this game, Baltimore against Miami. I hear Todd Heap might play a little bit, but he's been nothing but a heap of crap all season. And I would love to see Miami get off the schneid finally and get that first Vic.
I'm going to roll with the Baltimore defense this week in the league that I run. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers defense going against Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't turn over the ball very much. I'm going to roll with Baltimore, thinking that they're going to get to it's Cleo Lemon back in the fold now. I'm thinking Baltimore is going to get quite a few sacks and some turnovers.
The one guy I actually like in this matchup is Willis McGahee. He's been running with a lot of passion and a lot of conviction of late. And look, he's playing in Miami. He's going to have a whole bunch of family members, a bunch of his ex-college friends down there.
Sean Taylor going to be there?
Yeah, I don't think so. That's that's cold, Yeastie.
Hey, it's the Vicodin, bro. I'm sorry.
But I do think Baltimore is going to stomp a mud hole in Miami. And if Baltimore does win handily, which I think they will, that means a big game from McGahee. But other than that, not a whole lot of options here. The next game on the slate, the New York Jets traveling to face the New England Patriots. Yes, it's the Belichick thing. It's the Mangini thing. We could go in any number of different directions here, Jeff. But realistically, I look at this game and I just don't see any way the Jets have any chance to keep from getting blown out here.
Yeah, I really just don't think that the Brady Bunch is going to lose all year long. I mean, Tom Brady, in my opinion, is having the best season. Well, it's obvious he's having the best season ever. He's 4 touchdowns away from tying Peyton Manning's record, and I think there's a great chance that he beats this record. They want him to do it at Foxborough, and Bill Belichick would love nothing more than to do it against Mangini. So I think there's a chance that Brady throws 5 in this game.
45 touchdowns to 5 interceptions so far on the season for Brady. He's probably going to win the league MVP hands down, but as I've said before on the show, I think Randy Moss deserves more consideration than he's getting. Last week, again, Yeastie came up with a huge performance.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that benched him in their fantasy leagues.
Ooh, who would do that?
The only thing that can really stop the Patriots at this point, I think, is Mother Nature. There's supposed to be a big snowstorm headed that way for this weekend, And that could bring Lawrence Maroney back into the fold if they have to run the ball. So keep an eye on that. If you have Lawrence, I'm sure he's stashed on your bench at this point. But, you're not going to bench Tom Brady or anybody else. I hope who was the guy last week that you said to start Carson Palmer over Tom Brady?
Yeah, that guy ended up winning.
Did he?
Yeah.
And he played Palmer?
Yes, in fact.
Wow.
The BD Scrapper, he's a guy that we've known from years past.
I was watching for him.
I
to
was
be out in the
kidding.
parking
I was
lot
kidding
like,
about that. How could you ever bench Brady? Come on, dude. You know better than that.
All right.
But realistically, all he needed was Colston to have his average. Colston had 2 touchdowns in that game on Monday night. So the BD Scrapper went on. Jeff Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who that
we
is.
we had another emailer email us this week asking a question about Lawrence Maroney, kind of wanting to know when Maroney's going to get into the fold. Guys, I've heard behind the scenes that Bill Belichick is a little bit disenfranchised with Lawrence Maroney, and that in the offseason he may choose to go in a different direction. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to the NFL as closely as the experts here on our esteemed panel, you probably don't know that in April's draft, the Patriots have the number 2 pick if the draft were to happen right now, because they made a trade like 4 or 5 years ago with the Niners. The Patriots have the Niners pick Yeastie. What happens if Darren McFadden goes to the Patriots?
He'd probably end up playing like Lawrence Maroney just because Belichick's that kind of a jerk. But, yeah, wouldn't that be sweet to have Darren McFadden, an Adrian Peterson type guy with the Patriots? I mean, that would be insane. But, I don't know what he's done to make Bill Belichick angry with him. But, hopefully – for our sake, because I like Lawrence Maroney, we've had a chance to be around him a couple times when he was in college, and hopefully he does well.
In my opinion, Lawrence Maroney is the best, most highly talented, highest paid decoy ever in the history of the NFL, and that's just what Bill Belichick uses him as. And he's got great game-breaking ability. He's very fast. He's got good moves, and he runs hard. And I really just think that Belichick is still hanging on because he doesn't need him yet. And he's going to use him in the playoffs later on in the season against the team that he wants to grind it out.
The final matchup of this segment, one that we're going to kind of gloss over here a little bit, Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Guys, this week has just been a bad week for the Falcons. They've lost their coach. It's an abysmal season for them. Can Tampa Bay take advantage of them here at home?
Yeah, I would think you'd want to play all your regulars. Ernest Graham has probably gotten a lot of teams to the playoffs. Roll with him. Joey Galloway would probably be a good play as well. Looks like it's going to be Jeff Garcia again for Tampa Bay. Hopefully you don't have to play him, but the offense does move a lot better when he's in.
Any starters for the Falcons?
I really don't like the Falcons at all at this point right now. I feel really bad for Arthur Blank. I'm not 100% sure if Rich McKay is still his GM, but if not, then I got a couple of candidates for your new GM, Arthur Blank, and that's us, bro. We do
the
way
phone
better
numbers.
job.
The phone number's right across the bottom of the screen, Arthur Blank. Just give us a call. That's my cell
We'll
number.
help you out.
Yeah, you can give me a call anytime. But
We would throw the game against the Vikings, though.
I do like Roddy White. He's been one of the best receivers over the last 7-8 weeks in the league. He could probably get you some fantasy
Don't you
points
think
there.
Roddy White's going to be locked up all game against Rondé Barber, though? They're going to have a hard time getting him the ball.
He's been getting free against pretty much everybody.
And Chris
so,
Redmond's in there, man. What are you talking about? We'll be back right after this, breaking down some more matchups on Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Thank you for joining us. It's the Week 15 edition. We will be back. What's up, fantasy football junkies? It's Jesse. You checking us out behind the scenes on the set of Testosterone Fantasy Sports, the #1 fantasy football show for prognostication in the Twin Cities area on cable access. You want to make sure you check out our website as well while you're here looking at the show. Go online, testosteronesports.com. There's so much stuff on there for you content-wise. You want to see the rankings, you want to see the writers' pages, but above all, you want to see this video content that we put out there updated on a weekly basis. So if you missed the show, check it out online at testosteronesports.com.
Hey everybody, we'd really like to thank all of our supporters. We here at Testosterone Sports put a lot of effort into the production that we do on a weekly basis. Go on there, specifically come onto the Fat Chat. You get a chance to interact with all of us, with other people around the Twin Cities. We just love fantasy football, and it's something that we do on a regular basis, so check it out. Join with us to win in your league. It's something we love, and we just appreciate everything that you guys do to join in, to be the 4th member of Testosterone.
Can't get enough of the yeast or all these guys. You have rants and raves you want to read. Check out our writers' pages on the website, testosteronesports.com. I go off on a weekly basis. Jeff brags about how good his team is in our league. Jesse has some crazy stuff on there. There's a guy named Will who drops some things I can't talk about on television. Check out our writers' pages, testosteronesports.com, for a little more of the yeast.